welcome to Historical Airsoft. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Classic Army M16A1. Alright, so before we get into the actual review, I'd just like to thank you guys all so much for the extreme growth that we've had over this past week. We've shot up almost 40 subscribers in that short period of time, so thank you all so much for that, and let's keep on going. One more thing, unfortunately, unlike our other videos, we will not have a shooting test in this rifle review. We weren't able to organize it right to where we could film a proper shooting test for this in time for this review to come out, because we want to make sure that we're getting you guys content coming at a fairly constant rate so that the channel keeps growing and you guys get to see more stuff. So shooting test will come in a separate video. It'll probably only be like 1 or 2 minutes long, but for this video review we won't have a shooting test. I have shot this rifle and I know how it performs, but unfortunately there won't be any footage showing you guys that in this video. So keep your eyes peeled. A shooting test will be coming very soon. I purchased this rifle from Airsoft GI, my first ever purchase from that company, and they were extremely helpful. I really would recommend them quite a lot. I know Scott Hollenbeck from US Airsoft uses them exclusively, and I can see why now. I really like their customer service. So when I ordered this gun, they had to ship it to me from their Virginia location rather than their California location. So that was a little bit of a hold-up, but when I called them about it and asked them questions, they helped me out and they got me a tracking number. So definitely good, helpful guys, great customer service. And I purchased this rifle for $250. I got, with shipping, it was about $270. So not a bad deal. That's about the price that I see it everywhere else. Unfortunately, I do not know the ins and outs of the airsoft manufacturing business and all of the stuff that goes on in that. So, but I do know that just about every US store you look at, this gun will be out of stock most of the time. My best hypothesis for why that would be is because they make these in a batch at a time, and then they all get bought up pretty quick in the US because people really like this gun, and I can see why when I talk more about it. And then they all get bought up and they have to wait for the next production run. So that's my theory. Maybe they sit on them so that their price stays up. I wouldn't know, but you know, either way, these are fairly hard to get in the US because of how quickly they are bought up. I bought this about 5 days after it went back in stock on Airsoft GI, and it was gone so quickly that a friend of mine wasn't able to get his hands on one of his, even though he wanted to order it about 2 days after I got mine. So quite a treat that I have this in my hands. I'm super excited to have this. This rifle externally seems to be great quality so far. So everywhere it was polymer on the real one, it's polymer on the replica, and everywhere it's metal on the real one, it's metal on the replica. So starting up at the top, of course, you have federally mandated orange tip, which I painted over. In my state, it's completely legal to do so. It's only there for shipping. In some states like California, and I'm sure some places back out east, it's required that you have at least some orange on your gun. But here it's legal, and I'm never going to be seen anywhere outside my house or at an airsoft field with it, so no real reason to worry. You've got your metal right here holding on your grip, triangular grip, and then you've got the excellent looking gas tube in there. You've got upper receiver, lower receiver is all metal, pistol grip is plastic, and the stock is plastic, but huge fan of that. So starting from the gun, we already talked about it a little bit, or starting at the front. Of course, you have the metal outer barrel, the front sight post, which looks really good with the gray metal in there. I've got a front sling attachment point. On a lot of these I wouldn't trust them, but this feels good. This one feels solid. It does move around, but you can tell that by putting pressure on it, that it would hold up the gun if you were going to sling it over your shoulder, so I wouldn't worry about it. You have the metal, again, holding on to the front of the grip, and this triangular hand grip, I'm a big fan of it. It feels really good. It's not wobbling all over the place. There's no give to it at all, and it feels solid. You do get seams in the top and along the bottom for manufacturing. As far as I can tell, that's how it was on the real one, so I can't really complain. And you know, you gotta get it on there somehow. But that's one little thing that's a little bit annoying, but in the end it doesn't really matter. And as I mentioned a couple seconds ago, you have that really nice looking gas tube in there, just like you'd see on the real one. I'm not sure what this ring is called on the actual rifle or on a modern AR, but the ring that holds the grip to the barrel feels really good. It's metal, there's no give to it. You can see the gas tube continue in there. Moving on to the receiver, we'll start out on the right side. You've got your bolt itself in there, which feels really nice. I'll talk more about that in a sec. You've got your dust cover, which I'll also talk more about in a sec. Magazine release button. You've got the magazine, which is a high capacity magazine. I'm guessing that It doesn't hold very many rounds though, considering that it's very short. I do plan on getting mid-caps for this gun as quickly as possible. You've got the little indicator on this side for whether it's on full, safe, or semi. However, it doesn't move accordingly. It's always stuck on semi-automatic. You've got your classic Army trades right there, made in Hong Kong. Good stuff. And of course, up here you've got the great M16 carry handle. And of course it is one piece with the upper receiver, so that's not going anywhere at all. And you've got your side adjustment. As far as I can tell, this doesn't really do anything. I will talk more about that when I go into more detail about the sights. So going over this side of the receiver in more detail, the dust cover, while it feels good, there's good tension on it, it doesn't like to stay in place. It will occasionally lock in, but all it takes is one tap on the other side of the rifle for it to swing open. So that's a little bit annoying, but oh well, what can you do? And so of course then, if you were to rack it even just a little bit with the slide there with the charging handle, it's going to swing open. So I think you'll just have to live with playing with this gun with the dust cover open. So right underneath the dust cover, you have this little piece of metal, this fenced off part that comes out to prevent the dust cover from swinging all the way down, just like you'd see it on any modern M16 or M4 or AR-15. However, it does not come all the way down around the magazine release button like you'd see on a modern gun. And actually that's what distinguishes this from an M16A1. This is an M16A1, but well, they're virtually the same, except for a couple minor things like that, and they're both used extensively in Vietnam, so this is still an excellent rifle for a Vietnam impression. But I'll go more into talk more about that in detail in the future. The actual magazine release button seems to stick out farther than from other M16s or M4s I've held in the airsoft world. That could just be me, or it could be anything else. Unfortunately, I don't have any other one to compare it to right now. The pistol grip feels extremely good. The plastic, or the polymer it's made of, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same. It feels extremely good. And it doesn't have the grooves that you'd see right here on a modern M4 or M16 grip, and it does not have the little divot that would come out and go in between your middle finger and ring finger. It's completely smooth, so that is completely historically correct and looks super good. The trigger itself, the trigger pull, there's no battery in here, feels very, very good and snappy when there's a battery in it. And I used a 7.4. I'm sure if you put an 11.1 LiPo in here, it'd be super good. So I'm a big fan of the trigger. You have the forward assist, which is the right shape on the actual forward assist button that you'd see on a Vietnam rifle, which I'm a huge fan of. On the modern ones, they've just got the little circle and the little ring, and that's how it is in some of the JG versions of the Vietnam M16. So super glad about that. That looks super nice. So yeah, let's talk about the charging it or with the charging handle and all that sort of stuff. So unfortunately, the charging handle itself is relatively loose. It'll move around quite a bit, just in that position. While of course it is locked in by the little holding piece on the other side, the little button. Not sure what it's called, but it's not going to go anywhere, but it does wiggle around and make some noise, so that's a little bit annoying for sure. Another little annoying thing with that is it does not lock back, like on a Crytek or a lot of other modern M4s that you'll see in the airsoft world, just like the real one. If there's no, it should be able to lock back when you pull the charging handle back and hold it in place, but not on this one. It does have the paddle on the other side, so you can manually pull it out and it will hold the bolt in place, but that is one thing that's a little bit annoying. So if you want to access your hop-up, you have to do a little bit more than you would on maybe another rifle, but it has a very satisfying clunk once you hit that and it slides forward. So I am a fan of that. Moving on to the other side of the receiver, you have your selector switch, which I'm mostly a fan of. It feels good. It feels like it's not going to go anywhere or move. However, I do wish there's a little bit tighter. It's not going to move anywhere unless you put pressure on it, and it does very satisfyingly click from position to position. However, I do wish that it was a little bit more solid, so it would take a little bit more pressure to move it from position to position, but in the end it works and it works well, so nothing really to complain about. And then you have awesome trades on this side. Rifle 5.56mm M16A1, and this is serial number 180315. Not sure what that number means, batch 180, batch 18, number 315. I probably will never know, but in the end it doesn't really matter. It's an airsoft rifle. So that just about covers that side of the gun. Let's talk about the stock. So the stock, I'm a big fan of. It's the right stock from the right era. On lots of like the JG Vietnam rifles, they've got the M16A2 stock, which I'm not a fan of. The stocks were different. It's very subtle and hard to tell the difference between them, but this has the right Vietnam stock. It does have seam lines that are very, very subtle and hard to see, but again, that's one thing. It's a little bit annoying, but the plastic does feel good. It's not going to move. And then you have the rear sling attachment point right here, and that is the one where, yeah, totally trust, not going to move, not going to go anywhere at all. So you can totally attach a sling to this rifle and be completely fine. One of my major complaints comes from the butt plate itself, and the battery storage compartment is pretty good. It'll hold any like super long stick magazine. If you have a thicker, blocky brick magazine, it might not fit. We'll talk about that more in a couple seconds. But as you can see, even though this is attached fully, it looks almost like it's coming off a little bit, or that it's coming out or not fully attached. So the rubber on the butt plate is a little bit loose from the butt plate itself, and this is how it came. And this is as far as it'll go onto the gun. So it does feel like it's in place pretty well, and it's held in just by, sliding it right here, and then you move it up. However, it will get caught, like you can see there, if you're not careful, and that's one thing that kind of bugs me, and maybe at some point could wear out the rubber itself. So that's the butt plate itself is one complaint I have, and it almost feels a little bit too easy to get off. Maybe it's possible for at some point you're on the field and you move it in some way that butt plate falls off. So watch out for that if you get this rifle. I definitely will be. When it comes to battery space, you're mostly okay for just about any LiPo or stick battery. This is a Titan Power 7.4 lithium-ion battery. It fits in there pretty well. You've got quite a lot of space. This would go down a lot deeper too, and you do get small to Maya connection. That's another thing that you would expect for every rifle in 2019, have a small to Maya connector, but a friend of mine, two of my friends actually had an instance where, again, just assuming the gun would have small to Maya, they ordered one of the JG M16s and got large to Maya connector, which hasn't been industry standard for many years as far as I know. Another thing that could possibly be a problem is the outer shell of the hop-up is actually plastic. You might have noticed that when I was working the bolt earlier. So you can see there, it is a rotary style hop-up, and it clicks from position to position very well and very easily. So I like that. However, the fact that it's plastic and the actual feeding, BB feeding hole in there, I'm not sure what you'd call it, again, I'm no tech, is plastic and at some point could break. So that if you plan on upgrading it, definitely get a new hop-up, the one that you're sure will last you for a long time. I'm a big fan of the sights on the rifle, except for the inability to change the range on the rear sight. You have two choices of sight here for the rear sight. You've got a front one and a back one. The aperture itself, the actual hole that you look through, seems to be the same on both of them. It's just that one of them is higher up than the other. The front sight's fairly standard. You can adjust it for elevation with a tool, so yeah. Overall, I'm a huge fan of this gun, the way it looks and the way it feels. It does not have any wiggle to it at all anywhere where you wouldn't want it to, except maybe that, but that's not necessary to holding the gun together. So for external build quality, it's really, really good, and for historical accuracy, really, really good. But of course, there are those little things that are a little bit annoying when it comes to the rifle itself. The little pet peeves, the little annoying things. But there's always things like that. They're unavoidable in the airsoft world. But overall, I'm a huge, huge fan of this rifle. All right, so I'm going to talk about what makes this an XM16E1 rather than the M16A1. So the main difference was the XM16E1 was used and produced up until 1967 or 68. I don't remember, and that's when they started producing the M16A1s. They're virtually the same. There were internal things that they did, like chrome plating, something. I'm not an AR guy. But they chrome plated some piece in there that made it a whole lot better than it would be it's almost more of a mix of an XM16E1 and an M16A1. Because on the XM16E1, most of the bolts were chrome plated, so this would be nice and shiny. So you can see in some early Vietnam footage, it always got those shiny bolts in there. This one, however, is black. So, and another thing, the XM16E1s would always have the bird cage, or I mean the three-prong flash hiders, the ones that you think of being super iconic for Vietnam, even though those were only used in the earlier years, before they started putting the bird cage flash hiders on the rifles. Another thing that makes this an XM16E1 rather than an M16A1 is the lack of the cage around the magazine release button. On all modern ARs and on the M16A1s, this piece right here will extend and come down. If you've seen any other Airsoft M4, M16, or AR-15, or any rifle, AR-style rifle, you'll almost always see, god damn, that gets annoying, the cage that comes around this to make it so that there's no chance of this accidentally getting hit and releasing your magazine. Also, on a lot of, I'm not sure about this one, but on a lot of the M16A1s, they had a different style of butt plate than on this rifle here. So, this is more of an XM16E1. It's a little bit of a hybrid of both, but either way, it's a Vietnam style gun, and it looks and plays the part of a Vietnam rifle very, very well. And I'm a huge fan of it so far, and I can't wait to get that shooting test out for you guys. Sorry I can't have it in this one. Anyway, thanks for watching Historical Airsoft, guys. Thanks for supporting the channel. Keep on supporting us. And yeah, thanks for watching. You guys have a nice day.